All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us here on Growing Up Alien. And tonight we have a really interesting guest. This is Tim Devlin, the actor. And I'm going to have Tim mention some of the shows that he's been in. But the main reason we got Tim on tonight is he's just a powerhouse when it comes to activating star seeds and finding these creative and intriguing ways that each one of us can feel like we're doing some kind of actionable thing rather than just being passive receivers, which I know for most of us is very frustrating. What can I do? What can I do? Right. So Tim is just like, he's like a waterfall of amazing ideas. So before we get, I'm just gonna have Tim introduce him, his own career. I think most people have probably seen him. If you haven't seen him in some of these shows, you want to kind of dig them back up and try to find them. And hopefully we'll see Tim again on some new shows this fall. But so would you like to introduce some of the TV or movies that you've been in, so folks might be like, oh, I know you from somewhere, because I'm sure people are watching now and going, this guy looks familiar. So
Well, thank you, Andrea, and it's an honor to be with you. I mean that from the deepest part of my heart. As I've said, you were like a glass of cold water in my face that said, "Let's go, let's mobilize, let's get this done." So, thank you for the way that you serve the light. Thank you for the way that you communicate your heart and your mind. It is absolutely wonderful. It's so necessary. And I'm very grateful that I have an opportunity to share anything that might be of value to this, what I would say, the Starseed Envoy movement. So, yes, I'm an actor. I've been an actor for 30 years. And, you know, I saw the movie Platoon. I was a young man. I was in my middle 20s, and it rocked my world. It changed my life. And I thought, wow, can movies do that? Can you really affect people in that way? I remember the conversation, the buzz. And so I finally made the choice to do that, and I left a marketing job and I moved to New York City and got an apartment. And 1 week later, I was a dancing waiter in a nightclub, looking through the trades for jobs as an actor and or to get some training and all that. So that was 30 years ago, and I wanted to change the world. I thought, and this was my role model as a teacher was always Jesus, Yeshua. I thought the guy rocked. He walked the walk, he talked the talk. I said, animals, children, I get this guy. I know where he's coming from. So he was the guy I would ask myself, well, if I was to come back as Jesus on this planet that is in so need of so much, how would I go about doing that? And I thought, well, he'd either be maybe a rock star or a singer or something like that, a musician or an actor. And I said, okay, let's try the acting thing. Of course, I was quite naive about that. You can't really change the world, but you can certainly maybe not change the world, but I was able to change myself and learn more about myself by pursuing a career as an actor. And very quickly, I'll just say, to know thyself really is the goal. I mean, that's the goal of an actor, to know thyself. And that's the dirty laundry. That's what we call in the spiritual community doing the work. That's the healing, the dealing, the feeling, all of the things that we do as actors. You don't want to portray another character until you really know yourself. That can be sticky wickets. It can get a little dangerous. If you're playing people who are unsavory or just not, you're not prepared maybe to go into a darker element of a character. So you need to be cautious with that. So I I did a play, my first play at 30 years old. I was only studying for a couple of years, and it was American Buffalo, and I was only the third production in New York City. The first production was in 1971, I believe, with Robert Duvall playing the lead role of Teach. Then again, it was done in, I think, 83 on Broadway with Al Pacino playing the lead role. And then in 93, I got to play that same lead role. And I was the third production in New York. It wasn't on Broadway. It was off Broadway. It was a meat and potatoes production, but we did this wonderful play, and that play got my career started. I got wonderful reviews, I got representation, and essentially I became a TV actor. Mostly episodic television shows. I've been on like 25 or more shows, and just one movie and lots of plays, and I live a very creative life, Andrea. I'm blessed in this way. My beautiful wife is a wonderful acting teacher, director. She's a light worker and does her mission in her own way, which is extraordinary. And so we have this beautiful union of being creators, and we co-create, yet we still have our own unique mission. So that's really kind of cool. So yeah, so that's my acting. I'm also a writer. I've got a couple of screenplays. I've done fairly well with that, and although I'm not published, but I think I'll be published soon. I have a children's book coming out that I'm very excited about. That's actually analogous to the whole Starseed
Yeah.
mission, and I'm really excited about that. And so that's where I find myself now. I stay creative. I stay spiritually active. I have all kinds of protocols and things that I do for myself, but I'm a lone wolf. I need a community of people. You know, if we were to get together in a boardroom table situation and say, we're going to rebrand Earth, we
Yeah.
need to do a marketing, right? We need a new marketing scheme here. We need to shake it up. What are we going to do? And that's where I feel like that's where the conversation needs to go. We need to wake up people in a really cool way. We need to do it in a cheap way, and we need to do it in mass. It has to be in mass. And if we can coordinate some sort of a global timeline for all of us to get together, something so simple to take your cell phone to film yourself and say, I am a star seed. Boom. I am a star seed. Boom. And we do that all over the planet. And we start something, a platform. I'm not a techie person at all. It's not my, I'm just, yeah, it's not going to happen. But what if we had a platform, if we had a place where you could go to see how many star seeds are waking up,
Yeah.
and let's see the counter, let's see the counter, let's see it count, get more and more. And then we have our event. We coordinate an event above, below, and on the surface. I don't know if it's everybody's cell phone at the same time in the sky, like when you go to a Coldplay concert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I've never been to a Coldplay concert, but I've watched them on YouTube. That's a powerful, amazing spiritual movement, what they create with light, with music, with intention. And I think that that's something that is worth exploring. I want to get the guys upstairs excited about that. I want them to know that we're excited and that we're not going to wait for any government officials or gurus or anybody else that's got, seminars out the yin yang. I'm over that stuff.
Well, I
So I
think you
want to get
identified because I think you identified the main problem, and I don't know how this originated. It's just has been around really since the age of the original contactees, where you have a very passive movement, and
right.
we're trying to take, and you mentioned, I think we're trying to take this down from
Yes.
conferences, from very exclusive, same people, you hear the same stories. I'm different. I'm better than everybody else. Look at me, look at me. We're not going to get anywhere like that. We need this to be a grassroots, get people on the streets en masse to all come together to come together, even if it's through the internet, and
Yes.
for the people on the street to finally take control of this movement, get it out of the government, get it out of these conferences, get it out of these I'm a super soldier crap. Get it to the people on the street who are quietly just
Yes.
sitting there, pulling their hair off, saying, "What can I do?" So they don't have to beg for airtime on podcasts or what have you. But they create their own movements, and it could be something as simple as getting people together in a library or a town hall or some sort of crystal shop or something where people can just come together. And as I think your idea is phenomenal because it doesn't, because we tend to be kind of introverted. So being
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
tell people, get their cell phone, right? And stand outside somewhere or wherever you're comfortable and say whatever you feel comfortable saying, right? Maybe you want to say,
yes,
like you're a Zenetae Andromedan starseed, They may want to say, I'm a contactee. They may want to say, I saw a UFO. They may want to go all the way and say, I'm married to a Pleiadian. So people can step forward in whatever way they're comfortable. And I think you will be amazed at the millions and millions of people who have been silenced basically from within our own movement that are finally going to step forward and say, I got to do this. And we stepping forward give them
yes.
the courage to say, look, I'm going to step forward now. And yeah,
Starseed Flash Mob.
exactly.
Starseed Flash Mob.
Yeah,
These are the kind of things we need to engage young people to make it hip, to make it exciting. Music is the universal way in which we can all connect with each other. And I know there are so many talented people that if we put some heads together, we could come up with an idea and a way to to get so many people on board to express themselves as a star seed. So it's a campaign.
right.
It's a campaign, and I think it will ignite. And so Starseed Flash Mob kind of a thing. I think music is a way in. Um, uh, I wrote down all my notes, and of course I don't have them with me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So but
Topic.
those are the but those are the things that are constantly going on in my head. I can't actually turn it off right now. So I'm that's why I was so excited to at least just express myself with you, and your listeners, and hopefully that we can ignite something here. Uh, I want to get it going. I don't know what the answers are, but I do know that music is universal. I think that's one way we can do it. I think there needs to be a pledge. Again, we were talking about the bucket challenge for all ALS, which was a phenomenon 10 years ago, and everybody was dumping a ice bucket water. Well, that's what I said about you, right? I said you're like the ice bucket challenge is kind of like Andrew threw it on everybody and said, "Now wake up, let's do something better here. We've got the potential. Let's do it." And so if we can dump buckets of water on our head and videotape ourselves, why can't we do something else that's maybe a little bit more proactive in terms of the Starseed message? So that's where my head's been going creatively and spiritually too. I'm so motivated by it. What do you think? Do you think the guys upstairs would be amenable to talking about that kind of a contact where there's a coordinated effort either through music or, messaging or something more concrete?
They're begging. So because now that they've restructured and we all know the story, they we had a rogue faction up there that our friends know because they've known, and they dropped the ball in this whole liberation of Earth thing. Not all of them, but it was very dark for a time period upstairs. There's still been a lot of shakeups going on, massive shakeups. But again, the reason that those shakeups happened was because the envoys down here finally woke up and stopped being passive receivers. And they said, we're going to do something. So we've been instigating a lot of overhauls upstairs that have actually gone through. Friday, July 4th, we've had even more consolidation towards moving this situation down here forward, opening up contact between upstairs folks and their family down here, reinstating those connections that had literally been severed over the past decades, really. So for us to begin to make this an accessible, active, loud expression this is what we came here to do. And yet, yeah, they dropped the ball on us. They left us hanging. They left, they, and sure, I mean, we're backpedaling, but we're also moving forward. It's really in our power now because we have the security set upstairs. They're going to protect us. You ask for the protection, and they're definitely just begging for people to start YouTube channels, to start TikTok, whatever social media you really like. If you're not into social media, it doesn't matter. You got to ask yourself, what can I do? If you're a musician, then you can start playing some different music. You could have free concerts in parks. You could have people meet with you in libraries and discuss these things because you will be amazed just how many people will come forward. Open it up to Bigfoot, open it up to people who are involved with tarot or in psychic. So you really get a really, branching out our community to other people who are sort of maneuvering through satellite arenas, which is all about sort of changing the face of the planet through yourself and through others, sort of like benevolent tentacles rather than the dark tentacles of what the cabal had been doing. But yeah, I mean, it's just we
What was the original? What was the, sorry to interrupt you. What was the original mandate of the Starseed Envoy program? In other words, you embodied here, your spouse did not. And what was the mission? What was the goal of all of the envoys like yourself? What was the ultimate goal?
Well, and you being, a Zenetae, it's the original contact design, which was done during Adamski and Menger and Meyer, where the ships landed and they met with the extraterrestrials. We call them the visitors. They're not, everybody's an extraterrestrial. There's no such really difference. It bombed because it was putting people in danger. People weren't believing them because the counter narrative, the psyop by the three-letter agencies, the governments, and the military. How do individuals like ourselves fight militaries? I mean, it's a real challenge, right? So it ended up getting dangerous, and they were kind of at wit's end, to be clear. There was also some nefarious deals that were made. I got to look into this a little bit more because I think it has something to do with my husband's abduction by the Greys. I think I can see some of these lines. We need to. Ike and I are going to look into this a little bit more, but some members of the councils in GFW had made arrangements with the MJ12 and the dark actions here. And that was the Go Slow movement, which we saw pretty much, nothing really happened from the Millie Meyer era to, God, I mean, the 2000s, really. It was the 1980s or the 90s was the time when a lot of this stuff was supposed to roll out.
Mm-hmm.
The deep state utilized some events. I can't say this on YouTube. I got to be careful. Yeah, the deep state knew this was going to roll out, and they utilized because we had been able to secure some inways into the some of the governments, but the deep state knew, and they threw some really nasty things out there. One of which happened in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
The September, the September thing. So yeah. So it was, anyway, that
1 mile from my apartment.
Ready, yeah. So they had, and the Starseeds were here at that time. So those of us who became the envoys, we had several groups. I'm going to say that the late 60s, 70s, that's where we had more of the telepathic envoy. And then you had people like Alex Collier as well. But
yes,
the majority began to become telepathic during that time period because we had reached a stage where that was going to work, where people weren't going to just walk around saying, I hear voices in my head. What, they were more receptive. So this contact would have happened for children because children are open-minded for all of this and they embodied the contact. So instead of it being maintained on a level with a very aggressive, clear vision in mind, things got a lot muddier, and people ended up losing contact, as most of the folks would know. You kind of dropped the ball for a while and didn't think much of it. You got lost in the matrix, and that's what they wanted to kind of happen until around For some people, it was the 2000s. For some people, 2020 was a big wake-up call. For others, right around now, they're really getting activated again. So the rogue factions threatened a lot of the upstairs folks. They also told some lovely stories, speaking of narratives and creativity, to the high councils that the Earth people weren't ready, and but then the envoys didn't really seem to be on the ball, and because they had dropped contact with us. And that, yeah, we should wait a little longer. And the high councils were kind of, oh, okay, And they then told the families of the envoys down here that, yeah, it looks like your family members who are envoys, they don't remember you, and they're not interested in meeting with you anymore, and they have a life down there, and yeah, it was all psychotic level psyops of emotional despair. Um, so the upstairs families, a lot of people will say, well, I don't really feel I haven't gotten a lot of contact. I never had a lot of contact. Yeah, it was because your family upstairs was lied to and told that you didn't want it. And that was a complete lie. That's all water under the bridge. People have just, we've cleaned up upstairs twice. There's still quite a bit of um, you know, roiling waters going on upstairs. So we are appointing new people, and we're going to have some more next week. I have another direct contactee who has a very close contact fellow upstairs in the GFW. She's going to come on with us next week, and we're going to talk more about some of the politics that's behind the scenes there. But ultimately, Earth has been sort of given the caboose boot in a way. And now we have to double down. And it's great to have, you, Tim, and all of our friends together here who are just champing at the bit with some great ideas and some energy, and to really get this ball moving. Forget about the Epstein files. Forget about, all the COVID crap. And that's going to happen, but that's not for us. That's for others to deal with, the legal systems, whatever. Forget about who's in politics, forget about all the nonsense there, and who's going to disclose this. We are. And it is assumed now that the contacts will resume. When and how, again, we have people who have had contact, yes. So that is rolling out physical contact. Expect more of that to happen. I'm in a great position where I'm getting information from a lot of people, so I'm hearing what they're experiencing. So, we're in a good place as far as envoys are concerned. Having said that, you had a great idea, Tim, about some of the music, and I had mentioned, one of our main public figures, Sammy Hagar, wrote a song so many years ago about his contact experience. He's had several contact experiences throughout his life, and as we all know, the momentous impact of these things changes your entire world. Even just as you knew, just realizing who you were as an envoy, that's
Yeah.
just, you can't unsee that. So Sammy Hagar wrote a song, "Love Walks In," and I think that's just, he just nailed it on that. And I think, um,
He is a bright light. I saw him in an interview, Andrea, exactly about, talking exactly about that song.
oh yeah,
And he said, man, he said, I had taken some time off. I was reading lots of philosophy, and I was getting into all kinds of mythology and traditional religion and comparative studies. And I mean, the guy was just, his mind was expanding, and he put it down to music. And so, yeah, I think Sammy Hagar is one of the guys that would probably be really open to a conversation about, let's make a song. Let's create a song. Let's do something together upstairs, on the surface, and down below. We need to have that moment. We need to come together. I keep seeing a boardroom table on a ship somewhere where we all brainstorm. There's a South Park cartoon. One of the episodes was, I think it was South Park. I could be wrong, but Earth was they were watching Earth from spaceships. It was the greatest reality TV show in the galaxy, in the universe. And they were saying, well, after 100, episodes, there's nothing else you can do. We have to just blow up the planet. But it is a reality TV show, and I remember when reality TV came out, I was quite upset as a dramatic actor. Here I am, I'm on all these TV shows, and things are starting to look pretty good. And all of a sudden, reality TV starts coming on the scene. I go, what is reality TV? First of all, TV is television. Let's get that right. With programs, right?
Programs,
So
right?
yeah. So the whole thing needs to be re-examined. But I would love to. I think music is the way to reach the young people. I think the young people are the ones that really need to be awakened. And I think making it hip, making it cool, and finding a buzzword. I think it's Starseed, and making that something on everybody's tip of their tongue. It should be a conversation at a dinner table. It should be, it should be everywhere on social media.
Yeah.
It should be written in the skies by extraterrestrial craft,
Yeah.
by positive white military jets, and planes with banners going over the beach. We need to saturate the consciousness of those who are curious, who know that they are here for something much greater than what they have been led to believe. And I think that's something to be very excited about. There's so many talented people. Now you've got Michael Salla, who's got a beautiful platform. He's got many, many followers and many tentacles. And as you are now experiencing as well, it's happening for you as well, I'm sure, where this is going to continue to branch out and people are going to, want to know more. So I'm my mind is racing and saying, well, who are the like-hearted people that are creative that could get this going? How do we rebrand the Starseed movement? How do we come together and mobilize some sort of fun action like the ice bucket challenge to create awareness about the Starseed Envoy, about planetary ascension, about liberation. We're about to find out who we really are.
Yeah.
It's like a big orphanage, and we're in this pen, and all of our family members are going to come to claim us and say hello, and we're going to be frightened and say, who are you, and what's going on? And there's a lot of activity, right, as you know. So so we have to make it fun. It has to be hip. It has to be cool, and I think music is the way. I really do believe music is the way. All the other ways have been hijacked. Again, as an actor, I've been most of the stuff is Law and Order and crime shows and the like, and I usually play bad guys. And as my mother says, Timothy, can't you play a good guy once in a while? You got such nice teeth. Can't you play a gym coach or a guidance counselor?
You play a good guy in real life, so it gives you a chance.
Yeah, that's right. I play a good guy in real life, but I'm always breaking necks or doing something really bad. But there's an amazing movement going on. I'll share a story with you. I did an episodic show called Persons of Interest with Jim Cavisel.
Yeah.
And Jim Cavisel is a wonderful, wonderful guy. So I got beat up or get into a fight with Jim. I was a co-star on the show, and I spent many, many hours with Jim doing a fight choreography. And there's a lot of downtime on television shows, and you talk about all manner of things, but it's very rare for a star to engage the co-stars or any other the actors for that matter. They're usually off to themselves in their trailer and doing whatever. But Jim was so sweet and kind, and we got to talking, and he shared his heart with me. It was really beautiful, and you could see it in his eyes. You can tell that this is an awakened soul that came here to get things done.
Right.
And I think Jim is another kind of guy that could be embraced about this Starseed Envoy. How do we create more awareness? And coming from it, not from religiosity, but from more of a spiritual perspective, which there's a muddy waters there, and terminologies and definitions get confused, and there's a lot of fear around that, as you are well aware of. So but that could be clarified. But I think Jim's the kind of guy. Sammy Hagar is the kind of guy, and I think there's many, many more. Mel Gibson's that kind of guy too. I shared a beer with Mel Gibson. I was a bartender,
Oh,
as many are in New York for 25 years.
yeah.
20. So if you haven't seen me on TV,
See me
maybe I
more.
served a martini or a glass of wine. It could have happened. So, but Mel Gibson he was awesome. And when someone looks in your eyes and they listen with their totality, and that's the kind of person he was. And he's the kind of guy that you could approach about this type of project too. I'm sure of it. So I think there's many closeted star seeds. There
Oh,
are
yeah.
many star seeds that don't know that they're star seeds. The star seeds were sprinkled all over the planet. The flowers are everywhere. And that's a lonely experience because you wake up in a field and you look around for the other flowers and you don't see any other flowers like yourself. And you think, oh, wow, this is interesting. But yet you still go through the experience, you still grow. You're in the field. You're not, you're not of the field, you're in the field. Is that the right terminology? But you're looking for some other flowers and you're looking for the star seeds. And yet to be effective, we're scattered everywhere. So apart we serve together. I want to coalesce that. I want to bring it together, create a network in some way. So yeah, all things creative are my tools, right? Those are my tools, and I have the time to think about these things. And I would love to have a meeting with the guys upstairs that I could remember. I'm sick of not remembering. I am tired of not remembering. What did we do? So let me see. We sat down with our soul family. You went over your contracts. You went over your mission, the things that you wanted to set up to learn. And then, oh, and by the way, we're going to hit you in the face. We're going to knock you out. You're going to wake up and not know who you are. We're
Yeah.
not going to tell you we're going to do that to you. That's just going to be the situation you're going to wake up in. And then you're going to have to find your way back. Wow. Wow. So as you like to say quite often, it's a shitstorm. And, to navigate through the shitstorm is not easy. So let's give some tools to people to say, here's the beacon, here's the lighthouse, you're a star seed. Embrace it. Let's explore it. And let me share the excitement about what that really is. Once you learn that you're infinite and eternal, there is no fear of a death. This is a challenge you set up for yourself. So if it's a challenge and we're not victims, well, shit, let's go for it, man. Let's make the most of it. So this is like the game clock. We're in the fourth quarter, it feels like, right? We
You,
don't want to go into overtime. We don't want to go into overtime. We want to get it done. And
well,
so,
we're already in overtime.
yeah,
We're
well,
in overtime now. So but I think you make a good point. So one of the things is that when you go upstairs, they're not that creative. And that's something people don't understand. So one of the things that our experience on this planet brought to us is this grit and this awakened or sort of I was called, it almost reminds me of like Play-Doh when you have to make it into something. You're given a ball of Play-Doh, now make it into a dog. So
yeah,
we've been stuck down here and we end up um opening up a new kind of creativity that they don't have upstairs. So it's really important that people like you go upstairs, sit down at those tables and tell them, look, this is what I think, because this is way out of any of their understanding, that we would come down here and then write songs, do a dance, put on a play,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
do some kind of creative, even food. Someone who's likes to cook, they could make up. Why don't they make up a meal that someone might have on Sirius B? Or what do they have on Venus? They could do a Venus dinner party. So finding ways in your own creative, never limiting yourself, but in your own creative arena, what can you do to then bring it to the public mind so that they
right,
can become a part of this, and tell the Terrans, because the Terrans are visitors on other planets, but Terrans themselves, it's now is the time
yeah,
that the inhabitants of this planet, the Terrans, step forward and demand. This is what we've been screaming at them. Demand their planet's theirs now. They've got
Hmm.
the deeds. The deep state lost the deeds.
Hmm.
You don't need governments. You have to be careful, it's YouTube. You don't need you don't need any kind of, stuff. You in your own, when the Terrans on this planet, we have to get to them. This is a last ditch effort. We are in overtime.
Yes.
It's not looking good for them. We need to find some kind of way to grab them and not separate ourselves out. And I know we all can come up with a great way to understand this. We're just visitors here, but that doesn't. It's not that we're better or different. It's just that we're kind of here to give them a new perspective that you're not alone in the galaxy, in the universe. There's everybody's out there, and we all trying to help you guys. You're our brothers and sisters here.
Yeah.
We want to see Earth, Gaia, whatever you call it, Terra. We want
Yeah.
to see this planet alive again. And the Terrans deserve their planet. But it's going to take effort on their part to realize who they really are. That this is your planet. This is your world.
Yes.
There's no way we can do this for them. There's no way. They got to stand up for themselves. And if we can, and I think this is where, I think we have to find a way to create this media, whatever we're going to be doing, right?
Hmm.
In a way that empowers the Terrans, which is what our mission here is to do.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. Uh, the movie Glory was coming to mind. I got a vision of Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah.
Does a beautiful, beautiful performance in that movie. He blew me away. By the way, I don't watch TV. I don't go to a lot of movies. I don't watch the news. All right, that's not, even though as I say to my wife, the only TV shows we watch are the ones we're in.
Right.
Usually that's about it. If I'm on it, I'll watch it. But for the most part, we don't really watch any of that stuff. But there's a wonderful scene with Denzel Washington, and he's talking to all of the black soldiers that have been more or less conscripted into the military to fight, although they don't want to fight, but they want to be free. They want to be free men, and he tells them all to rip up their contract or
Mhm.
their pay. I can't recall what it was, but he turns to him and he says, "Tear it up." And they all look at him. What do you mean? He says, "Tear it up, tear it up, tear it up," and they all start tearing up their contracts. That's the moment we need. We get one guy on a Joe Rogan, on some podcast. One podcast starts the flame of another podcast.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. You just have to get one fire lit with a guest, maybe yourself, where we can start talking about these things. I think it needs to be one word. I think, well, one song. It needs to be everywhere. It has to be omnipresent, and it has to be coordinated, and it has to really be. I don't know what the word is, Andrea, but how do you, with the dark hearts listening to everything that we do?
They're right here. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So how does one approach these things in a manner that is for the highest good of all? Let's just keep it at that. But yet, we can't wait any longer. So I'm like a spiritual marine. Somebody's got to storm the beach. You can't sit in the boats and wait for somebody else to do it. We need to start storming the beach,
Yep. Yep.
and people need to start growing a pair.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've ever publicly spoken like this about anything in this regard. Privately, of course, when if I'm invited somewhere, but yes, but I've been holding on to this like lots of us for a very, very long time, and now I'm motivated to activate this next phase of the awakening, and I think we need to take the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so I'm glad this conversation is starting. I
Yeah.
hope that other people now start to get ideas about, yes, let's get this Starseed Envoy mission up on its feet, and how do we do that? What's the logo? What are the words? I am a starseed. I am Timothy. I am a starseed. I am Andrea. I am a starseed. Well, what the F does that mean? Well, let's look it up. Let's find out some information. And I think that's maybe one of the ways we started. So yeah,
Yeah, I think,
I'm open to ideas, and anybody that wants to get together and
oh, yeah.
brainstorm,
Well, we got
I'm
the
all.
comments, so folks, I wish we could have people join in, but they, just the way this platform of YouTube is. But in the comment sections, that's when people can come in and share their thoughts or ideas that they want to share. Maybe they want to connect with some folks. That's a great place to do it in the comments here, and then everybody can see them, and it's something you can kind of reflect on and everything. But this is something that people can just start doing right now. It's we have one of our she hasn't been a guest yet, but Renata is actually doing a series. She was involved with the television industry as well, so she's doing her thing on her from the Canadian side. But I think
And what capacity in TV? What does she do?
she's worked with producers, and they would create shows and things like that up there. So it's
Oh, cool,
she works
cool.
with George Cavassalis.
Yes.
So she'll be doing that. We have her on here. We have, I think it's time for, again, people who have, you don't have to be, people I'm not creative. You don't have to be, everybody's creative. You couldn't be alive if you weren't creative. But just finding some way, how they could maybe they could be the people who could start trying to contact different groups, but looking at it in a grassroots way, where it isn't you just sit passively and watch people talk and tell their stories. That's not doing it. Well, it had a purpose, but it's
Yes.
we need to, you know, you've built a foundation for your house now, and you've built the frame, but you can't leave it there. You got to finish the house, right? And I think this is where we've been sort of sticking around under the timber frame of the house, but not putting the roof on and just sitting there. And we need to move forward with that. And hopefully we can get some, names that could be able to sort of, spread this amongst more people better than we can do. But for sure, we need to start embracing those people who are outside of our community. We need to stretch outside of our community. We got to find a way to talk to the public about what they can do to save their planet, because it's really up to the Terrans. There's only so much we can do. It's only so much the extraterrestrials can do. It's up to the Terrans on this planet to shake off their chains and to stop bowing down and waiting for whoever, their governments or their militaries. So that's one of their biggest, and it's not their fault. It's what they've been, brainwashed and programmed to do. But they have to be able to start standing up on their own and finding the strength to say no more. We need to reclaim this planet, and it's already theirs. It's
I feel like we need to hack. We need to hack into all of the communication devices. Like, was it Ashtar Command? Was it Vrillion? Was it? I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
The BBC broadcast.
yeah, yeah.
Why can't we get that going? Why can't they do that to a podcast? Why,
I think
we,
I think that's a good point. I think it's time. So I think people will be more receptive now. When Vrilon first came through and produced that, no one really. It wasn't. It was too early.
right.
So they and this is what I'm saying. They're not that creative upstairs. So they'll try something, and they don't. This is where we need to come in and give them ideas and suggestions. And I think it's time for them, as we've been saying, it's time for them to start landing in communities and start meeting people.
All they need to do is watch the movie 30 Close Encounters of a Third Kind, guys.
Yeah.
Get the message. I mean, it just blows my mind when you say things like that they're not that creative upstairs.
No.
I've heard many times that they are enamored by our talent and our
Yes.
abilities on this planet with music and theater and drama and all those good things. But yeah, it blows my mind. It makes me want to just say, well, what are we waiting for? call me. Where do you want to get together? If it's, I mean, I, I, this is frustrating. That really that's not occurring. So Close Encounters. So they did it with a musical tone. It was super effective. So Hollywood is captured. We already know that, right? The entertainment industry, quote unquote entertainment, that's a captured operation. I knew this many years, decades ago. I could see how this was all collapsing into the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, it even started with movie posters. One of the things that I love in New York City is that you get to see the things that are coming out on the posters. And I always examine posters like I used to examine album covers. There's a lot of information there, right? If you've got eyes to see, you can really detect quite a bit, subliminal messages and the like. Well, I watched the movie posters starting to get the colors getting darker and darker, transmuting the colors into darker tones. Everything got darker, the content got darker, the messaging got darker, and now it is just disgusting how much evil and darkness has penetrated the entertainment industry. That's just, I know it's been like that for a very long time, but now it's way over the top. So we need to hack into this thing.
Yeah.
People, you know, yeah, you know, it was always like, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it that Hollywood provides the stories that the people want, or are the people getting the stories that Hollywood wants you to know, wants you to think about? Like, which comes first? Are they serving us, or are they telling us what to eat, what to take? It's so we need to hack into that. We need to utilize these devices. That's the only way I can see reaching everybody at the same time. Not the same time, but certainly in a timely fashion. Because, like you said, it's the fourth quarter. You know, the bells are going off. You know, what can we do? And I don't think, you know, again, the movie themes keep coming up. You know, build it and they will come. Field of Dreams. You know, so what are we building here? I mean, if every person that recognizes that, let's just say that we have an initiative. Let's just say in the next month we get 1 million more star seeds awake and aware and excited, 1 million. And then we say, well, every single one of you take your cell phone, go outside. We're going to coordinate a time, and we're all going to shine our lights up into the sky, and we're going to tell our star brothers and sisters to shine back. And we're going to do it planetary. We'll all do it at the same time. These kinds of actions can start a movement, excitement. And then before you know it, the podcasters are going to start to get hip to it. So we need to just ignite the fire and get a couple of people very excited about it. And anybody with quote unquote influence who runs with that ball could really, really exponentially make this thing, you know, expand. So, you know, I can't stop thinking of Sammy Hagar now that you brought up. So,
I think,
yeah, I can't stop.
I mean, Sammy Hagar has been, I mean, he's been, because he's a contactee, so you can't not ever not be one. And they've been kind of shutting him down because he really wanted to just talk about this so much, about his experience. And I think he'd be definitely open to engaging with this kind of thing where you know, it doesn't cost any money. People can do all these things. You know, most people
Right.
have access to something that they, even if I don't, whatever you, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you like to use, and and and
Yeah.
and use whatever. If you just want to make a tone, that's
Yeah.
perfect. You know, but we don't want to feed people what they need to do. That they need to sit back and find their own creativity and release this, and then go
Yeah.
up and show them what you're doing. So I'm doing this. And we need to be upstairs, and we've been upstairs en masse. And tell these guys, like, look, you gotta start coming down. We need help. We're working, we're doing our job, and I know they are too. But it's like we need something to wake the Terrans up, something that gives them a sense of hope. Because too
You know,
many
what about the crop circle? Where's the Starseed crop circle?
yeah.
You know, like there's so many different ways. I mean, look at the Nazca lines. Those things
Yeah.
are extraordinary. How are they created? Why are we doing that? Why isn't the word starseed in the Sahara Desert? Why isn't that created?
Yeah.
Where's the ingenuity? Where's the we can't do it, on the surface. Obviously, that takes a little bit of technology. But everybody could hold up a sign that says, "I'm a starseed."
Yeah,
Uh, Sometimes when you're on the highways, you'll see people, take banners and American flags, and they put them over the overpasses, and
yeah.
everybody sees it. Thousands of people see it. Thousands and thousands of people see it. So it needs to be a marketing campaign. It needs to be saturating the entire population. We just need to get a few sparks of influential people that are awake and aware and get them excited about it. And then people will start to get curious, and that will lead to, I think, a very wonderful revelation. And then maybe shift this momentum, shift the conversation away from UFOs,
Oh God,
UAP.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, I don't really care anymore, man, until, like you said, it needs to be physical contact.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's get it done. Let's do it in mass. Um, you know, uh, yeah, so I have many ideas, and I would love to talk to anybody who's interested in it in any of the dimensions,
Right. Right.
whoever wants to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah,
Yeah.
it's we need, they are living amongst us now. There are thousands and thousands of in their off-planet bodies living amongst us now, other humanoids. And I think it's what's so critical is for the Terrans to understand they are a humanoid. They're not they just see themselves.
When you say Terran, I don't even think 95% of the population wouldn't understand what
They
that
don't
even means.
understand who they are.
Yeah. So that's the big deal. Like, I think who we are starts with the young people. I think the young people have come in already having a little bit more of that awareness. If their DNA is a little bit more rebundled, if they're operating on more than two, let's say three, four strands,
Yeah,
that's remembrance, right?
that's true. Yeah,
That's not just, yeah, that's past life remembrance. That's knowing who you really are. And if they speak with confidence, and they're the ones who are going to, I think, educate the older folks, the adults, the parents.
yeah,
But we need them to get their focus in the right place.
right.
Their hearts are there. They just need to be redirected. They need Sherpas like you. You're a Starseed Sherpa. You need to guide them, right? They need to know. And we need to get this movement excitable. It needs to be excitable. I want everybody dumping a bucket of ice water on their head and saying, "I'm a starseed."
And the frozen stars. Yeah, it just become
Something like
it's just too loopy right now. It's just the same thing, same thing, same thing. It's
yeah,
got to
yes,
break out. It's and that's what the bad guys want. I mean, they're already collapsed, and it's just but they're going to hang on to whatever kind of same narrative they can. And we've gone, and I was telling Michael this. I'm like, we haven't moved forward in 70 years. We're still at the, oh, look, is this a piece of a UFO? Oh, look, is that it's like
I,
we've been doing this since the 1940s. It's time to go
I know.
forward from there. It's and people need to understand that a lot, because I'm YouTube here. A lot of what we consider the official narrative, get away from that. Don't expect anything from the official narrative, because the official narrative is not in your favor. We have to get away from that. We are the official narrative. Your neighbor is, everybody on the street, the people you work with, all of these people are official narratives. And I'm going to tell people, this has been my experience, and I'm sure it's probably been yours. When you're in crowds of
Yeah.
people, you tell people you're a contactee, they accept you. They're fascinated. I've got more people to become obsessed with this kind of thing simply by just saying that. And I'm talking meetings of people in the financial industry, they're all like, wow,
Well, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful barometer, right? That means that there's a readiness. There's a readiness. We just need to get the ignition. Excuse me,
yeah,
the ignition. What is ignition, right? And then from there, it's going to bloom. It's going to blossom.
yeah,
That's wonderful. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Uh, are are uh, are there the people that you're talking to now? Are there any people like me? I mean, I know a lot of them are ladies, and a lot of them have the spouses in the envoy program. But what about the other population of awakened folks? Are they contacting you? And if so, what is the nature of that contact?
It's pretty much cookie cutter. You have people who have had sightings. A lot of abductions.
Mhm.
But we have a lot of people who are really going back through their life and realizing they are contactees that they didn't realize before. And many people are realizing that, I have friends who remember they woke up in the middle of the woods. I'm like, you woke up in the woods. I mean, how did that happen? They're like, yeah, I didn't think, you just, so the sensations of being teleported, people just didn't know what it was. Um, but you have so many folks who have had astral projection experiences, bilocation experiences. They've heard,
Yeah,
they've seen visions, and
yeah,
they're realizing now. They always knew who they were. I mean, there's that intense sense of knowing I'm not from here, that something is different. That's why I call the channel Growing Up Alien, because that's what it's about.
yes,
All of us who grew up alien and we didn't fit in and we didn't understand. And mostly the fact that we didn't fit into the narrative. We didn't fit into religions. We didn't fit into you go to school and get a job. We didn't fit
yeah,
into, a white picket fence, a husband, a wife, and two kids. And
yeah,
we never understood cruelty. We never
right,
understood
right,
surviving. We never understood dimming our light. We never
right,
understood
right.
being small. All of these things, and it wasn't because of ego, it was because of everyone mattered. All beings, trees, plants, dogs, chickens, everybody, we saw everything as unified.
Yes, yes. That sensitivity we came in with that sensitivity.
Yeah.
And then it takes time for you to realize as a child that not everybody is that way. And
No,
then you have to learn how to mute those feelings, those emotions, so that you can get through the matrix, so you can be accepted by the family, by the religion, whatever it is, right? And so we go through it, and the whole time there's something aching inside of you that says, this is not who I am. This is, for me, it was anxiety my entire life. Why am I here? I know that I'm here to do something. What is it I'm here to do? It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. I'm still feeling these. Not now. I mean, I know who I am. I know why I'm here. Now the anxiety has turned to get it done.
right, right.
Get it done.
And
Get it done.
well, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
asked, because it isn't, I think I think this really divided the community and made people feel ostracized, because the vast majority of us have been through a lot of trauma. Now, the deep state went above and beyond, putting us through my labs or just doing things where we might have experienced abuse. Not maybe they would infiltrate families. So I know I have a lot of people who've had severe abuse, people who could never get jobs because they infiltrate to make it look like there's something, and you believe there's something wrong with you, because that's what
Oh yeah.
they want to cut us off. So having anxiety, having PTSD, having suicidal ideation, getting involved with drugs and alcohol, all these things to
Yeah.
make it true. This is the reality of the star seed. It isn't like singing bowls and I'm a contactee and life is great and it's all wonderful and wow, I can't wait to go upstairs and have a great time and isn't it wonderful? And people were feeling, no, I'm not feeling good, right? And 95%, I don't know, I'm making the numbers up, but every single person I've ever talked to has been through the ringer, and it isn't okay. And life's not great. And they're looking out their window and they're not saying, I'm not seeing unicorns and fairies outside my window. I don't understand all this. Yay, everything's wonderful. The day is coming. We're woo, no, like we're not seeing
Yeah.
this. And it's,
I live in New York City. I live in one of the densest places on the planet.
yeah,
And every day I live right in the heart of the city. I live on an energetic node point on the grid. Speaking of the grid, I want to get back to New York, but I just wanted to say we are a living light grid, the
right.
star seeds. And if we all recognize that and we do something collectively, then we light up that grid. But getting back to New York, I recognize, when I moved there in 1987, there was so much criminality like there is now, ironically. There was so much criminality. It was a dark place. There was a lot of seediness. And I was a devout Catholic. I live across the street from a Jesuit church. And I was very active in my church. But then I started to see the hypocrisy all around me of what was going on, the homelessness. When you see the hungry stare of a homeless person and you don't have the food or the money to give that person something, you have to reconcile with that. You have to come to a place in your heart because your heart is open. You are a compassionate being. You've known this about yourself. So, how does one cope with that? And I had to learn how to utilize my spiritual tools to embrace people, to learn how to love in a detached way so that I don't bring myself into harm's way and can still continue to do what I need to do. And that took a long time. And in New York, it really is the microcosm of the macrocosm of this planet. You see it all. So every time I step out of my apartment and I walk onto that sidewalk, I am confronted left, right, and center. You want to get into a fight? You got it. It's there. It's waiting for you. I mean, everything that you could possibly experience is right there in the streets of New York all the time. And so as I started to evolve as a spiritual person and understand more about my own intuition and power, I started to practice that more and more. And that started to give me so much more peace of mind, peace of heart, because I wasn't just turning my head. I'm now engaging. I engage with all kinds of beautiful practices and tools, enveloping people with violet wings of light and healing energy when I see somebody on the sidewalk. And it's everywhere. It's so disturbing. So this is this is the fuel in my gut that's saying to me, this is enough. I can't handle it anymore. We need to do something.
Yeah.
And so New York is has been a training ground for me to hone my skills, to be very very much awake and aware of my environment. I've always felt like an observer on this planet. I've never felt like I was here uh, for any other reason than to really observe human behavior, watch how people communicate. That's always fascinated me. I wasn't a great student, but I was great in the classroom. By that I mean I paid attention to the way the teacher would communicate, the way they spoke, their the intonations, their communication skills. All of that was more interesting to me than the lesson itself, unless it was science or spirituality or maybe art class. So I've always felt like I'm the observer. In fact, sometimes I feel like I'm observing the observers, and
Yes.
I'm thinking to myself, "What's that all about? What's going on there?" So no more time to observe. It's time to be, as we said, it's actionable love. Let's take it to the next level. Let's bring our faces out to the world and let people see. Like I hope someone sees me and says, "Oh wow, that's a middle-aged white guy, a TV actor, and he's a starseed. What's that all about?" I know who I am. I love who I am. I've come to love who I am, and I want to share that secret with other people. And that maybe my example is helpful, and that's fantastic, right? So that's why I was very very grateful for the opportunity just to talk with you. I couldn't wait to talk to you. Oh, by the way, let just James know this was for.
Oh,
You and I are both fond of avians, and I think I had a life as an avian, and
yeah. Yeah.
those are my peeps. I love my birds too, and I've had a very special relationship with the birds, and yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to do now is for us to do it first, right? And then all of our members here to
yeah,
step outside and do their thing, whatever you want to do. Do you want to like try to flash light up? You want to video help yourself? It can be during the day. The ships are there during the day.
Yeah,
waving upstairs to a ship. You want that, and whatever you want. You want to hold a sign. You want to come on.
yeah.
Whatever.
There's always these group meditations. Some of them are global, and they get tremendous participation.
Well,
There's no reason why we can't do that, but let's make it something much more active,
yeah.
and let's get the guys upstairs to agree to that. Let's get some cojones, guys. Let's do something here. I mean, if I hear one more time, it's threatening to us on the surface. It's threatening to them. Like, what's more? What? Look what we're going through right now. Look at all the pain and suffering and the violence that's already occurring. Is it going to get worse than that? I'm not
I
so
mean,
sure.
it is. I mean, there could be. Well, people have to be realistic about what's. We're not getting love and light on the. We're not, and this is. I had this conversation today, and we're going to continue it next week. When you look outside, and certainly where I live, I'm not seeing a Mr. Rogers neighborhood on the streets where I live. It's become so expensive to just exist. It's not
Yeah.
getting any easier for people. It's getting harder for people. Whereas I'm seeing and hearing about more crackdowns as far as legislation is concerned. Um,
Yep.
I
Hmm.
don't see people being any more enlightened. So I don't know where these other people live who are seeing these massive escalations of ascendance in the streets. I'm not seeing it, and you live in New York, and I'm sure you're not seeing a lot more, love and light parties. So we need to cut through the BS, excuse my Gaelic, and begin to get more. And that's for all of us to we're all upstairs to start working with these people, um, and figuring out, hey guys, what's your game plan? Because we can only do so much, and we're pushing the envelope. We're going to keep pushing it, but ultimately, it's a significant problem right here on this planet. So
Yeah. There's one. Is it potentials? Is it Linda or Lygia? How do you?
Linda's channel's potentials, yeah, she's rocking it. Yeah, yeah,
Linda is a vocalist. Isn't she? She's a musician. She was in a band.
yep,
You
yep.
know, she's somebody that we should speak to about this if you've not already talked to her about that. But
So
yeah, I know. Okay, she's musical. Huh?
just opening up to channeling to bringing through
Oh,
some of the sounds and things. I have another friend who dances, but I don't think people have to worry so much about, everybody's on a different path, so Linda's opening up more to her Pleiadian self, and feeling that this is where she needs to be as she moves forward. But everybody does their own. You don't have to channel, you don't have to, you can just create on the spot. You like what kind of creative force are you? What do you have inside of you? Right?
yes.
Is it something
Right.
you do with landscaping? Is it something, do you draw? It doesn't have to be, and people are always worried, well, I don't want to show my drawings not that good. It doesn't matter. It's not what they look like, it's what's it doesn't. It's just, and I think what Ika brings to the table, and we're going to discuss more because he's got a little bit more free time now that he's kind of severed some context. What I want to spread, like if I could just spread it like butter or peanut butter all over his innocence, his
Yeah.
deep innocence and love.
Yes.
If I could just insert this in people, like they would just be like, oh, I mean, it's just, God, we need that. We're missing beauty. We're missing love. This is what the deep, and it's not anybody's, it's what the deep state did. It's time to really just start embodying that and in throwing it out.
It's everything, and anybody that's a creative person that's listening to this, and if it resonates with them, then um, take it to the next level. Create a song. I think song. I really do. I think a song is universal. Could be sung in any language. What
Yep.
is the word starseed in Japanese? What
Yeah.
is it in Chinese? What are these words? That's the way in, I think. And I think the guys upstairs need to get involved with it with us in a co-creative manner. Let's create a song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's create a song. Let's create a pattern. Let's create a sigil. Let's create something that we can all identify with. Another movie. Here I am. I don't watch movies, but I did watch a couple of movies recently. And you, Andrea, since I've been in contact with you, I've had some very interesting things occur, and I'm sure a lot of people say the same thing. All kinds of activations. Let's just say that some of them not so good, some of them a little nefarious, some of them were tapping on me and trying to get me to go the other way.
Hmm.
And but I also get a very tingly vibration when I hear your voice. Something activates in me when I hear your voice, and that's really, huh?
Oh, I hate the way I said Rob Khalil on Typical Skeptic. He's the same as me. I'm like, oh, I know I never play anything back. I can't stand my
An
voice.
actor, and I don't ever watch my performances. I can't
Oh,
stand
I
my
can't
voice.
stand. It's just
I know. I'm with you, sister. I'm not good with that either. But I think we're on the right path. I think this is
yeah,
exciting to get people to start to think in a creative way,
yeah.
not waiting for more information. I'm tired of waiting for more information. I want to create. I want to create this momentum that you've already started. Oh, and the movie I wanted to reference, and it's probably not a great analogy, but there are some similarities for sure. I don't know if you've seen The Hunger Games or not. Are you
Oh
familiar?
God, yeah, we're in the Hunger Games. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Did see it. Okay. Well, I purposely didn't want to watch it for exactly that reason. I said, well, I'm in the Hunger Games. I don't, in fact, the title turned me off. I said, I don't even know if I want to watch this. Hunger Games, the two of those just don't go together. But I broke and I said, well, maybe I should watch it because I've heard other people talk about it. Well, my friend, uh, the similarities between you and Mockingjay are extraordinary, in my opinion. She's this lady, this young woman who comes forward reluctantly to get it done, and it speaks to the masses, and she mobilizes them, and it's wonderful the way that story unfolds. And I was thinking about the jaybird, the mockingbird. I was thinking about avians,
Mhm.
and they have a sign, right? They all whistle and they hold up their three fingers, I think, something like that, and they all do a sign,
Yeah.
and they all whistle in solidarity. And it reminded me of Gandhi, in just in
Yeah. Yeah. That's maybe something we should think about is having our come up with a sign. We don't have a sign. That might be, the Starseed a cohesive, we're so fractured. But creating some kind of cohesive, for Earth itself, a Terran Starseed, because we're first contact. The Starseeds are first contact. So Terran Starseed sign for Gaia, for Terra.
wonderful.
Something that doesn't separate us from the Terrans anymore. I think this is something I just been, and people know I have problems with Terrans. It's true. I have a hard time connecting, but it does. But I think what we need to do is not necessarily remove ourselves from the Terrans, which is what we do for sanity, but we need to somehow, you know, find some way to wake them up, to bring them in, get them ready to be on ships, get them ready to fix their planet and be who they're supposed to be. They're thousands of years behind in development, not their fault. They can launch themselves in one instant, 1,000 years ahead. They're at the level of the Pleiadians now. They just don't realize it. I think that's the problem with what's happening is they're absorbing and imbibing all of the darkness.
Yes, you don't know what you don't know. And then if you've got your head down in the phone and you're TikToking the day away, if you're distracted, if you're not in a creative mind, you're going to be in a you're going to be mind controlled. Period. If you're
Yeah,
not taking, yeah, you're not. If you're not taking care of your own thoughts at all moments, you're not going to succeed in liberating yourself or anybody else for that matter. I like to have a periphery of things that are going on just to sniff it out once in a while, just to feel it out, just to feel what the environment is all about. but I never get myself engaged in it in an energetic way. It never happens. I don't allow it. I have too good of spiritual hygiene. I've been practicing it for a very long time, as I'm sure most starseeds have. And I've developed my, and I would suggest this to anybody that, again, if anything I say, you can take away something good from it. That's fantastic. And one of the things I started was my own protocols, my own prayers, my own invocations, based on all the other folks that I would hear and listen to. And I would take a piece of that, I'd take a piece of this, mix it up, put a little of Tim in it, and that would become my own declaration, my own prayer, my own protection. And I utilize it all the time, all the time, all the time. Repetition, repetition, repetition. That certainly is the way we learn. As an actor, learning my lines, repetition, repetition, repetition. And you start little games for yourself so that you can remember things. So all of those mind practices have become very helpful for me in my own spiritual practice, uh, as we continue to evolve. Um, yeah, so this is so invigorating, Andrea. Again, and I'm so grateful that Dr. Sala brought you out to us in a bigger way. Both of you have so much integrity and character. You have beautiful hearts, and you opened something up in Michael that I think is really important for everybody to see. That was a big deal. That was a big, big deal. Like you busted open this floodgate of what's the word? Almost euphoria. Like now is the time we take it back. We take it back. So I'm not articulating it all that well. It's more of a feeling. It's more of a sensation than it is anything else. But I love the idea of having a symbol, a sigil, something that we can identify with and hang our hat on. And perhaps from there we build a platform, we build interest, and we start getting people like Sammy Hagar. Is it Hagar or Hagar? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Hagar. I think he says Hagar. Yeah.
Hagar. We get guys like Sammy Hagar to get him interested and say, "Hey, what do you think, Sammy? Maybe you'll hear this." So,
And you're like,
yeah.
I
So
don't know about that,
I,
but
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful
you
about
never,
this.
get the guys upstairs and, I mean, and then, the whole movement lost track of what we're here for, which is to liberate this planet. And that's, we need to get back on track. All of us, for me, it's a slap in the face sometimes to be like, okay, let's, you're here. Let's do this. Right. So, um, it's what,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was telling my friend Evan, it's like, we got to stay on the train track, He does Jedi thinking. It's like, you can't get distracted either way. It's going to happen, but just keep that in mind. It's like, look, it's not lost. We need to keep going in a straight line to liberate this planet, whatever it takes, and whatever happens.
Wait. Yes, and I would like to ask you a question regarding this because as these solar flashes and/or grand events, whatever that flash is, that upgrade, uh, if I understand it correctly, is going to give us a leg up. The population, the surface population, will get a leg up, a little bit more clarity as to who we are, where we came from. Am I right in this thinking? Is this something for us to not to anticipate, but is that part of the upgrade? In other words, if we're going to be shifting into a higher vibratory place in space, and we're frequency specific, we all raise our vibrations together. That's your ticket. That's how you ascend on this planet as we move through a different place in space. But before that happens, there's going to be some upgrades to our operating system, like a computer. We're getting new software. And so in order to get the new software, we got to make sure everything is in alignment. Am I right in this thinking?
Yeah.
Is
So
this
the Earth itself is changing. All planets change, and the Earth is changing. If humanity would simply come together, then that would fix a problem. But that's not happening. So we are the guys that are dismantling, and your gang, the Andromedans for sure, the Zenetae, we're dismantling the frequency mesh that the deep state had in wrap this planet in to hold it down on the crust. So that has to be lifted. So it's basically like you can't keep drinking poison and expect to feel better. So we have to technologically remove all of those negative things. Um, and that is happening. So now that they're back on track upstairs, we should start to see the dismantling of more and more Earth-based frequency interference. And ideally, it's going to happen fairly quickly. I think the next couple of months should start to show some effects of this. You're seeing it already with
Mm-hmm.
the exposing of what these guys have been doing. People just thinking about things that don't feel right to them and realizing more that they have to become more discerning. And this is part of what people call ascension. It's really looking into yourself and standing in your own sovereignty. We're talking about sovereignty. People
Totally.
declaring sovereignty. So they have to dismantle. And one of the things they might want to rip up or burn is when you're born in the United States, you get a number. So take your number, and this is something you can do on video. Take your number, don't show people your number, but write this number down, fold up the paper, and burn it or bury it and declare sovereignty.
Yes.
This is super important because they no longer own this planet. They no longer own you. They still think they do. They don't. People keep giving up their power. This is what we have to scream at them. Stop giving away your power. Declare your sovereignty. You are a sovereign being. If everybody in the next hour on this planet, or half of the people, or maybe a quarter of the people on this planet right now, declared, I am sovereign, things would start to it's the impediments here are being maintained by mind states. So that's how they did it. It's using psionics. It's using mind states. It's trapping people in a prison of consciousness.
Yes.
That's what needs to break, and it's so simple to break it.
Sovereignty is one of the songs that I wrote. It's one of those things that I think so few people even understand, let
They
alone
they
claim
don't.
it.
It's not free will. Don't free will. It's sovereignty.
Yeah.
That's the key. And then they're learning that upstairs. We on this planet, and this is what our elder said from Era. And she said, this planet is going to free everyone. We've already freed the GFW. It's not despair. It's not hopelessness. They're ready to go now. They've been freed. They've been freed by fear. They were controlled by fear
Wow.
because it's fear that made them be small, that made certain factions feel like we can't do this big thing. That was all fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that was removed. And we need to support upstairs, right? And sometimes you need tough love, and that's get up there and do tough love. We need to support upstairs. We need to demand that they support us more. And I think that's what's going to be rolling out in the next months, including the contacts. So we just have to. You can't stop fighting. You just got to keep. You got to invigorate yourself again. You got to just keep going.
Yes.
That,
Yes.
we got to do what we came here to do, and I think it's going to happen. You know, it doesn't really matter what the end result is. It's hard to remote view this because there's the potential of what could happen. But ultimately, we're on good footing, and we may not save everybody, and that's fine because that's sovereignty. They have the right to make a choice of whatever they want to make. But as long as you say at the end of this game that we did everything we could. In fact, we've already done everything we could. There's no guilt or shame here. We were thrown under the bus and we survived and we still did our job. So we don't owe anybody anything. This is icing on the cake that we're doing right now. And whatever happens ultimately to this planet, we did our mission. So,
Yeah. Well said, Andrea. Well said. I think I think there's going to be. I hope it's not an event that's going to scare people. I hope it's an event that's going to excite people. That's where I want. I want to jump that. That's where I want to take this, excite people while they're trying to make people feel fearful. So yeah, that's the battle, right, between the dark and the light here, and we're getting down to it.
And I
And
think the thing with an event is depending on how you your perspective on the event, you know.
yeah,
Sometimes you got to tear stuff down to build something new. So um that's our role here is to guide as many who are receptive to it. Not just we're not here to control, because then you're just taking one despot and putting another despot in his place. We're here to mitigate destruction and to fashion whatever we're handed into something beneficial, even if it's a massive electromagnetic pulse that needs to shut the planet down, basically, in order to recreate it anew, to totally trash the deep state, in order to prevent them from destroying the planet. If that needs to be done, so be it. And at that point, we will not leave anyone behind. Upstairs isn't going to leave anybody behind. Some people will choose that, and that's their free will, that's their choice. But it's important for people to realize no matter what happens, there's something beneficial that's going to come from that.
mm-hmm.
And then as upstairs always says, we now especially, right? They got us. They're working with us. They're ready to go. We're ready to go. So whatever happens, we're going to play the game, you know.
So there's an evacuation plan in place. Obviously, I'm sure there's contingency plans.
Yep, yep. Only because if the EMP happens, you're going to be in the Stone Age. You won't have any electronics. Your
Right,
cars won't. Nothing's going to work. So,
right.
yeah. So what's going to happen is you can live off the ship, right? So while the Earth is, if this were to be one of the plans, some people will want to stay and be part of the fix. Some people will want to be refugees, and being a refugee upstairs is great. It's a great experience. It's not. I used to work with refugees. That's what I did in my home. Some people will
Uh-huh.
be going to Era, right? Some people will be going to Saturn. Some people will be going to Venus, wherever, right? So some people will be going to ships. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you guys would be involved, the Andromedans. So yeah, it's an adventure.
How does this relate to the arcs that have been talked about all over the planet? Are those
Yeah.
was part of an evacuation?
They can be. So they are being activated. I've received news from people that they are being activated. JP has actually already talked about something, but my contacts have seen some be activated. So they may have a plan with them. So they can't reveal the plan because then you can't reveal the military pattern that you're going to be expressing. So they are activating. So I don't know what that's going to mean, but they can be used as evacuation or as shelter. Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're all belonging to different species and races, and so you guys have yours, the Pleiadians we have ours. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things that come to my mind when I talk to you that I could go off on all these different
Oh,
pathways
we'll do
conversation.
we'll do a plan B.
Yeah, yeah, it's just exhilarating for me to talk to you, and I have to tell you, Andrea. So today I drove 535 miles today.
I know.
I got 4 o'clock this morning, right? And I was very excited about our conversation. This
No, yeah. We froze, but that's all right. We'll come back in. Come back.
I'm gonna listen. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna listen to you for 10 hours in the car today. That's what I did. I pretty much listened to all of your videos,
Right.
and it was really, really wonderful, and wonderful because some of them were several months old, and certain events have unfolded that really panned out. So that was very, very interesting. So so thank you again for this opportunity. I am very, very grateful. I feel like I'm a part of something special here to help to liberate the planet and get people excited about how we can do that. And I'm on board, whatever that takes. So
Well,
I
we're
look
gonna.
forward to talking with you more about it,
Oh
and
yeah.
anybody else that wants to talk about it.
Want the folks to throw all their ideas in the comments. right? And we're gonna
Yeah.
see, we'll spread those out. We'll do another conversation about what people are coming up with. People will probably email me privately. I'll put those out there too. So we'll get all that together. And it's an
Yeah.
honor to have you from the Zenetae culture, bringing all your, I mean, your advanced gifts here. We all work together, and we all are a piece in this tapestry. So yeah, not too many of you guys here. So for all of our Andromedan starseeds watching, right? You guys gotta bring your magic because you guys got the magic, right? We're the fluffy star bunny. Hell, we bring our fluffy star bunny, and you guys bring your stuff, and the Arcturians bring theirs, and we have all the insectoids that are with us, and the different benevolent gray groups, and benevolent reptilians, and all these people coming together with their mojo, and we need all of you. So it's a yeah, magical stuff.
It's going to be the biggest block party in the galaxy. It's going to be quite a reunion, isn't it? It's
God,
going
I
to be,
hope so, right? That's what we're all fingers crossed, and yeah.
yeah.
For those who have claws crossed, or whatever you got. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Awesome, Tim, and we'll share some tips and tricks in the description, and hoping everybody adds their 2 cents in the comments. And it's time to rock and roll. So
You're the best. Until the next time we
so
meet.
until next time, yeah, right. So we'll be brainstorming, and upstairs we'll work with upstairs and see what we can come together and reconvene for another meeting. So for sure.
Until our next moment of now, and I'll see you upstairs, right?
Buddy upstairs. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for being with us.